Mr. Miller, do you genuinely believe you are Ava Sterling's legal husband? The moment Julian Vance flung the marriage certificate in my face, I was standing under the blinding magnesium glare of the press conference spotlights, launching our company's latest product. The date stamped in unforgiving crimson on the document seared itself into my retinas. 5 years ago. I hadn't even met Ava Sterling 5 years ago, but I was her legal husband. I knew I was. I'd repeatedly pressed Ava to disclose the truth, whatever it was, but she always pleaded for more time, just a little more. Because of her silence, my son and I had endured a relentless barrage of insults, threats, and genuine harm. Later, when she finally did reveal the truth, she knelt before me, her voice choked with unshed tears. "Ethan, please, let me explain." But by then, that belated explanation was something neither Noah nor I needed anymore. On the day of our company's new product launch, I stood on stage, impeccably dressed in a tailored business suit, presenting our innovative new line to the audience. This launch was critical for our company's future. I had poured countless hours, an ocean of effort, into perfecting every single detail. Just as a wave of applause began to swell from the crowd, a strange man abruptly stormed into the venue. He cut an arrogant figure, his chin high as he strode directly towards me. "Ethan Miller," he sneered, his voice laced with a sharp, undeniable provocation. "Do you genuinely believe you are Ava Sterling's legal husband?" I frowned, my mind racing. I didn't recognize this man. His intrusion was utterly baffling and outrageously timed. As if sensing my confusion, he produced a marriage certificate from his briefcase, flicking it open with a theatrical flourish right before my eyes. "Take a look at this. I am Ava Sterling's legal husband. We've been married for 5 years." My hand trembled slightly as I took the document. There, in stark official lettering, were the names Ava Sterling and this man, Julian Vance, alongside a marriage date. My head swam, a dull roar starting in my ears as if I'd been struck by a physical blow. How could this be possible? Ava and I had been married for 3 years, our relationship consistently stable, filled with warmth and mutual affection. How could she possibly be married to another man? I fought to regain my composure, forcing myself to sift through the memories of our life together, desperately searching for any clue, any forgotten detail that might explain this nightmare. Yet, the Ava in my memories was always gentle, considerate, showering both me and our son, Noah, with unwavering love. I couldn't conjure a single reason why she would deceive me so profoundly. Seeing my stunned silence, a smirk of triumph spread across Julian Vance's face. "Did you really think your stolen happiness could last a lifetime? It's time to wake up, Miller." His words were like a shard of ice, piercing straight through my heart. The audience below had also sensed the shift in atmosphere, their curious gazes turning into a sea of speculative stares. I took a deep, steadying breath, fighting to keep my voice even. "Who are you? And why are you trying to frame my wife like this?" I stared hard at him, searching for any flicker of deceit in his expression. He snorted derisively. "My name is Julian Vance, Ava Sterling's legal husband. I hope you'll see sense and stop impersonating my wife's husband." Just then, Ava herself rushed into the conference hall. The moment she took in the scene, her face drained of all color. She looked at Julian, her voice low and dangerous. "Why are you here? Why are you doing this?" Julian let out another cold laugh, thrusting the marriage certificate into her hand. "I was just advising him to be a decent person, not a homewrecker. What's wrong with that? Today, I'll let everyone know the truth." With that, he turned on his heel and strode out of the press conference, leaving Ava and me to face the ensuing chaos, dumbstruck and exposed. Reporters swarmed us instantly, a barrage of camera flashes blinding me, their questions a cacophony of accusations and demands. The product launch, my meticulously planned event, was utterly ruined, derailed by Julian Vance's bombshell. The invited media, naturally, focused entirely on this salacious scandal. My boss was incandescent with rage. He suspended me immediately. It was only thanks to my past contributions that I wasn't fired on the spot. But I had no mind for my career at that moment. Back home, Ava and I had a ferocious argument. I interrogated her, my voice raw with hysteria, demanding to know what in God's name was going on. She just looked at me, her eyes wide with a desperate plea. "Ethan, please, just wait for me. It's not the right time yet. Don't worry, I'll handle this. I promise I'll give you an explanation." I stared at Ava, my heart a maelstrom of fury and crushing disappointment. "It's come to this, and you still want to drag it out?" You made me a public laughingstock today. My marriage, my career, they're all in ruins. Enough, Ava. I finally roared. I want a divorce. No. Ava's face was a mask of panic. The word escaped her lips before she could stop it. I won't divorce you. I will never divorce you. Ava's fingers dug into my wrist, her knuckles white with the force of her grip. Noah is only 3. Can you bear to let him grow up in a single-parent family? I wrenched my arm free, a bitter laugh escaping me. A cheating mother is worse for a child than no mother at all. Her eyes reddened, her throat working convulsively. Give me 1 more week. No, 3 days. I will definitely. My phone suddenly buzzed violently, a notification lighting up the screen. A trending news alert. Ethan Miller, the homewrecker, followed by a blazing fire emoji. I clicked on it. The press conference footage had been edited into a grotesque, mocking montage. The clip of Julian Vance slamming down the marriage certificate played on a loop, my face digitally altered onto the body of a comically screaming rubber chicken. The comments section was a torrent of abuse. Shameless enough to hold a press conference while being the other man. The most brazen of the year award goes to him. Latest update. Scumbag Miller's company website has been taken down by hackers. Your definitely isn't worth much right now, is it? I snatched a vase from the entryway table and hurled it to the floor. Where were you when the press conference was imploding? Where were you when the entire internet was branding me a homewrecker? Don't you dare try to play the doting mother now. Shards of porcelain scattered at her feet. She flinched back, then abruptly turned, grabbed her coat, and said, "Let's both calm down." The heavy thud of the front door slamming shut was immediately followed by Noah's wails from his bedroom. I rushed in and scooped him into my arms. He clutched at my shirt, his small body racked with sobs. Mommy doesn't want us anymore, does she? I bit the inside of my cheek hard to swallow my own guillette, choked sobs. Mommy just got a little lost, buddy. Daddy will find her and bring her back. I contacted a lawyer and had divorce papers drawn up. But Ava began to play a disappearing act. Her calls were perpetually rerouted to her secretary. Ms. Sterling is in a transnational conference. Ms. Sterling is meeting with investors. Ms. Sterling, I finally stormed into the Sterling Corporation headquarters, my leather shoes striking the polished marble floor with the sharp, rhythmic clicks of a drawn blade. But the iris scanner for the CEO's private elevator suddenly flashed an error. My access had been revoked. Sir, please don't make this difficult for me, the secretary pleaded, blocking the elevator entrance. A dark bruise peeked out from beneath her cuff, a mark. I'd left when I'd gripped her arm too tightly after returning home that day, in my explosive anger, trying to get to Ava while the secretary shielded her. My gaze fixed on the fluctuating numbers of the floor indicator. Tell her, tomorrow, 10 a.m. at the Bureau of Civil Affairs. Otherwise, I'll see her in court. As I turned to leave, I overheard her hushed voice on the phone. Mr. Sterling, he's gone. Yes, as you instructed. I've already informed the kindergarten. The moment the after-school bell rang, Noah launched himself into my arms like a small cannonball. His right eye was swollen and shining, a crusted scab of blood at the corner of his lip. Did you fall? I asked, my fingertips gently tracing the injury. He burst into tears, a loud, heartbroken wail. Stella said Mommy bought her an Iron Man watch. She said I was picked up from the trash. My blood ran cold. After the press conference disaster, I'd received a friend request from Julian Vance. I'd initially intended to ignore it, but some perverse impulse had made me accept. His social media feed was a curated gallery of Ava doting on him and his daughter. Stella. That was what Julian called his daughter. Where is she? I asked Noah, my voice tight. Noah pointed towards a shadowy area behind the slide. A girl in a private school uniform was busy stuffing ants into a plastic water bottle, the Iron Man watch on her wrist glinting sharply in the light. It was unmistakably the girl from Julian Vance's photos. And her features, the curve of her eyebrows, the shape of her eyes, they were almost identical to Ava's. The bastard's daddy is here, she jeered, sticking her tongue out at me. Neener. My mommy is taking me to Disneyland tomorrow. I crouched down to her eye level. What's your mommy's name? Ava Sterling, she declared, puffing out her chest with pride. Daddy says her name is worth 100 amusement parks. Before she could say more, Julian Vance emerged from a thicket of bushes, a gaggle of social media influencers brandishing selfie sticks trailing behind him. Hey everyone, family. Today, I'm taking Stella to experience a commoner's kindergarten. Oh my God, he suddenly stumbled, lurching forward dramatically, his antique watch snagging on a branch. As the broken watch band flew into the grass, the live stream viewer count rocketed past 100,000. The brilliant fire from the diamond brooch pinned to Julian Vance's chest seared my eyes. It was the Victorian-era iris brooch Ava had personally pinned on me when she proposed. I glanced down at my own now bare chest. The key to our bank safe deposit box felt like a burning coal in my bag. "You stole my brooch." I lunged, reaching for the clasp, but a reporter's microphone boom blocked my path. Julian clutched the diamond, taking a half-step back, the livestream camera instantly zooming in on his artfully trembling eyelashes. "Ava gifted this to me 6 months ago. Do I need to present the notarized documents?" His assistant promptly handed him a folder. On the yellowed paper, in the bottom right corner, the name, Ava Sterling, was written with a forceful hand. I recognized that handwriting. During the acquisition signing last year, she had held my hand, guiding it as we wrote that very name together, the nib of the fountain pen piercing the paper at the final stroke of Sterling. "Now who looks like the thief?" Julian slapped the documents against my chest. The live chat exploded with blood-red exclamation marks. He asked for it, and he got it. Scumbag Miller, kowtowed to CEO Sterling's real husband. No wonder he wanted to lock the safe. Dirty secrets can't see the light of day. I crumpled the papers in my fist, the edges of a stray staple digging into my palm. "This signature. Your wife wrote it herself," he murmured, his lips close to my ear. "She signed it in my bed that night. Would you like to hear the details?" I threw the crumpled documents at his smiling face. As the papers scattered, Julian suddenly staggered sideways, and the brooch tumbled to the ground. "Careful!" Marcus Thorne burst out from the throng of reporters, steadily supporting Julian's lower back. The ID badge swinging from his chest read, "Special Assistant to Julian Vance Studios." "Mr. Miller, intentional assault carries legal consequences." He bent down to fasten the brooch for Julian, revealing a scar on the nape of his neck, a scar from a hot oil burn he'd gotten working a part-time job in his sophomore year, a scar I'd stayed up all night with him at the hospital for, helping arrange a skin graft. "When you were on your knees begging me to help pay your tuition fees, why didn't you talk about legal consequences then?" I grabbed the hem of Marcus's suit jacket. The fine silk fabric ripped with a harsh tearing sound. He flinched, a tray of disinfectant wipes scattering across the ground. "Speak up. Who paid for your father's late-stage liver cancer surgery?" I twisted his face towards me, the foundation unable to conceal the crimson tide rising beneath his skin. "Now you're helping the thief who stole my life. Aren't you afraid of retribution when you wake up in the middle of the night?" The camera lenses were practically touching my eyeballs. The live chat was in a frenzy. Drama of the year. Homewrecker brawl live on site. "Did you see that close-up just now? Mr. Vance has a hickey from CEO Sterling on his neck." Marcus suddenly grabbed my wrist, his nails digging into my flesh. "Ethan," his voice was a mere whisper, like a sigh. "You have to look forward." He sounded almost sorrowful. "Just like you taught me when selecting jewelry. Always pick the one with the greatest potential for appreciation. People, too. You have to pick the one who's going to win." Julian's laughter drifted over from the side. "Marcus, come help me fix my hair." Marcus immediately released me and hurried to Julian's side, respectfully adjusting his hair. Just then, the crowd surged forward like boiling asphalt, engulfing us. Noah's terrified screams were swallowed by a torrent of curses. "Beat this shameless bastard to death." A plastic water bottle struck my brow bone. Icy water mixed with blood, blurring my right eye. I held Noah tightly against me. In the shoving, one of his little leather shoes was trodden off, revealing the sunflower embroidered on his sock. Only this morning, he'd held up those socks, proudly proclaiming, "Daddy buys the best socks." I wiped the blood and water from my eyelids, roaring, "I've already called the police." My only answer was more derisive laughter. A burly man with a thick gold chain grabbed my hair. "Even if the police come, they'll arrest you." He wore a diamond ring that scraped my earlobe as he yanked, drawing a string of blood beads. The live chat erupted with firework effects, crowd fun to add another diamond to Big Brother's ring. My vision started to blur, darkness encroaching at the edges. Consciousness began to fade. Only one thought remained, burning fiercely. I would make Ava Sterling and Julian Vance pay. When the wail of police sirens finally sliced through the crowd, my shirt was already torn to shreds. "Everyone disperse," a young officer ordered, using his baton to push away the still-recording smartphones. An older officer glanced at the bruises blooming on my collarbone. Sir, for emotional disputes, we recommend pursuing legal channels. I clutched Noah's fallen sunflower sock, the metallic taste of blood thick in my throat. I am her legal husband. Last month's crackdown on vice and pornography also caught plenty of people saying the same thing, she said, handing me a tissue and gesturing for me to wipe my face. Rein yourself in before it's too late. Don't let your child suffer along with you. Noah suddenly grabbed my bleeding hand and pressed it against the officer's sleeve insignia. Mister, Daddy really didn't steal anything. The cashmere fabric absorbed the blood, blooming into a grotesque flower. After giving my statement, I noticed a long, deep scratch on the back of Noah's hand, still oozing blood. There was no time to think. I rushed Noah to the hospital. Under the harsh fluorescent lights of the emergency room, I sent Ava a photo of Noah getting stitches. When the video call connected, the background noise was unmistakably from Julian Vance's live stream. Thanks to Ava's guardian angel for the super rocket gift. Did you hear that? I pressed the phone close to Noah's tear-streaked face. Your son is being called a bastard by the world. Veins throbbed on Ava's forehead. Julian and I are not in a marital relationship. Stella is really not my child. The DNA report is in the third drawer of my study desk. So what? Are you going to hold a press conference with it now? I spat. Just wait a little longer. Now is really not the time. Noah suddenly sobbed, crying out, Mommy. Ava's fingers dug sharply into what looked like a leather armchair. Give the phone to my son. I'll talk to him. I pressed the end call button, then wiped Noah's tears with the sleeve of my ruined shirt, the fabric still damp from her last voice message. Ava Sterling, I said to the dead line. You will never, ever deserve to hear him cry. On the day Noah's stitches were removed, I finally saw Ava Sterling at the hospital for the first time in what felt like an eternity. She burst into the examination room just as the doctors were removing the sutures from the wound. On Noah's forehead, her cuffs were tainted with the cloying scent of perfume from Julian Vance's livestream set. She reached out to hug our son, but I intercepted her with a backhand slap that sent her staggering into an enforced stand. Crack. The sound of the shattering four-bag mixed with the rapid-fire clicks of bystanders' phone cameras, creating a surreal, discordant symphony. Ethan. She wiped blood from her nose. Behind her, Stella, holding an ice cream, froze in the doorway. Julian had deliberately dressed her in sunflower socks identical to Noah's. I grabbed a medical file and hurled it at a nearby influencer who was still filming. Get out and film your damn reality show somewhere else. 3 hours later, Sterling Corp CEO slapped, exploded across trending topics. My former boss's call shattered the dead silence of the emergency room. Do you have any idea how big an order Sterling Corp gives us? Write your resignation letter immediately, and maybe you can leave with a shred of dignity. The live replay comments were a gleeful torrent. That slap must be worth $10 billion, right? Latest news. Scumbag Miller's former company stock has plummeted to its limit. Back home, I opened my phone to consult my lawyer about expediting the divorce, only to be bombarded by push notifications. Julian Vance's live stream title had changed to A Night Protecting My Family. He was holding Stella, his eyes red-rimmed. Ava went to the hospital to pick up our sick child, I never expected. The camera panned across a children's hospital room, a pharmacy bill signed by Ava Sterling clearly visible on the bedside table. My personal information was being circulated fungchan, madly/virally, in a 9-panel image collage. My gym membership number, Noah's allergy history, even my childhood medical records were posted on the dark web. The day a courier delivered a body bag to my doorstep, I was burning the gifts Ava had given me. As flames consumed a sapphire necklace, an unknown number sent Noah's kindergarten location. Time for the bastard to get a new gravesite. Ava, after countless rejected calls, resorted to sending messages. I've hired bodyguards. The lawyers are handling it. Please, I beg you, answer the phone. I recorded a video, looking directly into the camera, and sent my final ultimatum, either a signed divorce agreement or a notice of your widowhood. The studio spotlights felt like a swarm of bloodthirsty white moths, settling on my shoulders as I took the microphone. 3 days earlier, the producer of Truth Scale had pushed a proposal across the table to me. Mr. Miller, we want to explore the profound impact of cyberbullying. He tapped a manicured nail on the bolded title in the proposal, The Slandered Husband, Truth and Revenge. I stared at the unopened, threatening letter on the coffee table. Noah was on the balcony, watering a cactus. He'd found the withered, spiky ball downstairs last week. "Daddy," he'd said, his small voice laced with sorrow. "It's unwanted, just like us." I'd tossed the proposal into the trash. "Do you need a witness, or a clown?" The producer had calmly bent down and retrieved the document. "Last night, someone in a live stream offered a $200,000 bounty for your college hookup records to be made public. Regardless, this is an opportunity for you, isn't it?" He was right. So, I agreed to appear on the show. 5 minutes before going live, the director suddenly thrust a new script into my hands. The special guest section now bore a new name, printed in ostentatious gold foil: Ava Sterling and Julian Vance. Surprised? Julian, dressed in a bespoke suit, strode into the makeup room, Ava silently holding his arm. That damned iris brooch, pinned to his lapel, pierced through the last vestiges of my sanity. A last-minute adjustment to the program, the host announced, flipping his question card over. I caught a glimpse of my own photo, marked in red. "History of mental illness, to be confirmed." The audience is more eager to hear a direct confrontation between the three of you. Ava suddenly pressed down on the script I was clutching. "There's still time to leave," she murmured, her voice low. I yanked the paper free from under her hand. The sound of tearing paper startled the spotlights overhead. The large screen simultaneously lit up with the live stream comments. "The rightful queen has arrived. The homewrecker better kneel." CEO Sterling's protective gaze for her husband is everything. "CEO Sterling," I said into the lapel microphone, a humorless smile playing on my lips. "Do you remember what you said on our first date?" The director's reflexes were faster than my heartbeat. All cameras cut to me. "That liars," I raised my bare left hand, "must swallow 1,000 needles." Ava stared at my empty ring finger, her pupils constricting sharply. The live chat, however, continued to explode in a froth of pink bubbles. This power couple is locked in for life. The way CEO Sterling looks at Mr. Vance is pure fire. This is like a scene from a romance drama. I'm moving the Civil Affairs Bureau here myself. The camera panned across Ava's tense jawline. Her gaze remained locked on me, her lips parted as if she wanted to speak, but couldn't find the words. I lowered my head, rubbing the faint indentation on my ring finger, a pale mark left from years of wearing my wedding band. The director suddenly cut to a close-up. The micro-tremor of my eyelashes was captured, turned into a GIF, and instantly went viral. The caption, a unified narrative pushed by marketing accounts. Live footage, homewrecker cries, overwhelmed by the rightful couple's aura. "Mr. Miller, is there anything you'd like to say to CEO Sterling?" The host thrust the microphone to my lips. I looked at the scrolling sheet, double happiness, a wedding symbol, characters in the live chat on the big screen. For a disorienting moment, I saw a distorted, meme-ified picture of Noah flash amongst them. "I wish you both." Ava suddenly stood up, knocking over a glass of water. The sound of shattering glass cut off my curse. "Calm down," she hissed. I rose and walked out. In the corridor, Ava stumbled after me. "Please, just trust me this once. Indulge me for a little while. It won't be long. I swear." I pulled at the corner of my mouth, a bitter smirk. Then I heard footsteps again. The click of Julian Vance's expensive shoes, or perhaps it was Ava's heels. The sound was sharp, echoed like a death knell as he caught up to us in the stairwell. "Ethan, I actually understand you," he said, his fingers toying with an antique necklace. "After all, the way you looked back then, carrying your son, desperately searching for a woman to take you both in." I grabbed a fire extinguisher and swung it. But Ava darted out from the shadows, shielding him. The dull thud of the canister hitting her shoulder blade reverberated in the narrow space. Julian gasped, lunging towards her. "Ava, you're bleeding." "Are you satisfied now?" she choked out, gripping my raised right hand. Blood from her palm smeared the lucky red string bracelet Noah had woven for me. "Give me 3 days. The paternity test is all ready." I ripped the red string off my wrist and threw it onto her blood-soaked blouse. "Now take your real husband and get a blood transfusion. Don't taint my son's luck." A flash of light from a security camera at the end of the corridor caught my eye. I instinctively looked at Julian, meeting his triumphant, knowing gaze. As I slammed the door to my apartment, I could still hear the whine of a drone camera following me. The production company had spared no expense. This program was being broadcast live on every major screen in the city. On the live stream, Julian Vance shook his head, sighing dramatically. I never thought Ethan would stoop so low as to use his own child as a weapon. The comments, a dense, unreadable swarm, obscured Noah's sleeping face on some replayed footage. Suggest a paternity test. Scumbag genes are hereditary. I remembered my reaction when I first learned Ava was pregnant. I had pressed my ear to her belly, her face alight with a gentle, loving smile as she told me to listen to the sound of the universe being born. Now, that sound had become Julian Vance's leverage, a boast on his live stream. I read prenatal stories to Ava every night. Ava's face turned ashen. Suddenly, she roared, "Enough!" She snatched the microphone from the host, the screech of metal on metal grating on everyone's nerves. Julian's expression changed drastically. He lunged to grab it back, knocking several glasses off the table, which shattered on the floor. "You promised to ensure Stella's peace and stability for life," he shrieked. Ava yanked up her sleeve, revealing a pale scar on her forearm from the night we first met, when she'd shielded me from a broken bottle. "The one who registered for marriage 5 years ago," she announced, her voice ringing with cold clarity as she pulled up a household registration file on the main screen, "was my twin sister, Ava Sterling. Julian Vance is my brother-in-law." The live chat froze for 2 seconds, then erupted. Is this body double fanfiction coming to life? The waters of high society run deep and murky. Julian grabbed a fruit knife from a nearby platter and pressed it to his own throat. "Ava Sterling, you swore you would never make this public. But I swore even more fervently to protect my husband and my son." Her voice was ice. "Everyone, please log on to the official website of the Bureau of Civil Affairs now. Enter the marriage certificate number belonging to Mr. Vance." In the 10 seconds it took for the webpage to load, I felt the old scar beneath the indentation on my ring finger. Ava and I had fallen in love at first sight, a whirlwind romance leading to a quick marriage and child. I knew very little about her family. On the night I proposed, Ava had said, "I've had a reckless past, but meeting you was when I truly started living." The live chat was screaming. "Found it. The spouse listed is Ava Sterling." Ava undid her cufflinks, revealing the initials IS engraved on the inside. Isabel signed her organ donation forms when she was 20. This is the only thing she left behind. The camera zoomed in for a close-up. Julian suddenly collapsed to the floor, his face a mask of disbelief. The identical bracelet on his wrist, engraved INJ, glinted coldly as he trembled. "Isabel entrusted me with the care of Julian and Stella before she died," Ava stated, flinging a DNA report onto the live broadcast table. "But she didn't ask me to pay her emotional debts. Stella is indeed Isabel's child. The monthly payments I made were always noted as subsidy." I stood there, stunned into silence. So, the harassing calls she always took with her back to me during our honeymoon were Julian, using Stella's need for a mother as an excuse to contact her. The important client, overseas trips were to accompany Stella for her congenital heart disease surgery. Ava looked directly into the camera, her gaze unwavering, almost unseeing. I said, "Liars must swallow 1,000 needles." Her lips trembled. "I can swallow the needles, but can I?" Before the director cut the signal, the last image broadcast was of her kneeling amidst the shattered glass, a crimson stain blooming on her lips as she coughed up blood. Gossip is human nature. So, someone, then many, relayed what happened next, filming Julian Vance's subsequent breakdown on their phones. He stormed out of the studio, missed a step on the stairs, and tumbled down, his expensive shoes flying off. Then, barefoot, he fled into a surveillance blind spot in the underground parking garage, his phone still vibrating incessantly in his pocket. That was probably because someone had turned his ID number into an electronic tombstone, the link to his online memorial shared over 200,000 times. Under the trending hashtag wealthy widower marriage fraud, netizens dug up a Weibo post he'd liked 5 years ago. "Twin sisters are a gift from heaven. They can be shared." Photoshop experts juxtaposed this sentence next to Ava Sterling's funeral portrait. The repost section became a cesspool of gleeful vitriol. "Share her in the afterlife." The Sterling Corporation's official website issued an apology that night, but their stock price still plummeted by 15%. A leaked video from an emergency board meeting showed a major shareholder pointing at Ava, screaming, "Your love-addled brain has ruined the company foundation." She remained silent, enduring the tirade. When Ava placed the evidence of Marcus Thorne's commercial fraud in front of me, I was applying burn cream to Noah's hand. Earlier that morning, a stranger had poured sulfuric acid through our mail slot, and Noah had brushed against it while picking up a toy. "Julian Vance's studio has been shut down," she said, picking up the cotton swab I discarded. "The law firm you usually go to, they probably can't win against Sterling Corp's legal department." I slammed the forensic report onto her chest. "Can these fix Noah's smashed piano? Can they delete the surveillance footage of him waking up crying in the middle of the night, screaming, 'I'm not a bastard'?" Her eyes, red-rimmed and raw, went to our son. She reached for him, but Noah shrieked, scratching the back of her hand. "Mommy stinks. You smell like the bad uncle." Yet, even then, she looked at me with a stubborn, almost fanatical resolve. "I will not divorce you, Ethan." I let out a hollow laugh. "Then I'll just wait 2 years and sue for divorce. If you want to see my dead body before then, you can choose not to live separately." The light in Ava's eyes slowly extinguished, replaced by a desolate emptiness. 7 months into our separation, I saw Ava in a coffee shop, gazing at Noah through the window. He was on tiptoe, reaching for a strawberry cake I'd just bought him, a smudge of frosting on his nose, looking so much like Ava herself on the night I proposed, when I'd sneakily eaten some cream. Suddenly, Julian Vance appeared, his right hand hidden behind his back. "Ethan, I came to apologize to you." The instant I instinctively pulled Noah back, Julian lunged, a fruit knife flashing in his concealed hand, aimed at me. "You've ruined my life twice." Ava rushed into the shop, throwing herself between us just as the blade plunged into her left abdomen. Blood spread like a dark, insidious vine across the floor. She clamped down on Julian's wrist with all her might. The screen of her smartwatch displayed the countdown timer for Noah's bedtime story. It was a monitoring app she had secretly installed. The tip of Julian's knife was still lodged between Ava's ribs, blood dripping in a thin, steady line down the blade. His pupils were dilated. His voice a harsh, rusty rasp. "You swore you would raise Isabel's child. You said, Stella, and I would always be your responsibility." Ava coughed up a mouthful of bloody froth, her fingers digging deep into his wrist bone. "I protected you both for 5 years, but you threatened my life, my soul." She pointed fiercely at her own heart. "My heart will always belong to Ethan. Stop fantasizing." I stood frozen, watching as Julian suddenly covered his face and let out a wild, broken laugh. "How touching, CEO Sterling." He kicked over a trash can, his movements erratic, manic. "Why is it that both Ethan Miller and I married a Sterling, yet he gets to be the CEO's husband, while I'm just a widower left with baggage?" Bystanders had already called the police. Patrol cars and an ambulance arrived, their sirens weaving a chaotic duet. Amidst it all, Julian Vance continued to scream obscenities, his rage unabated. Ava's life was saved after emergency surgery, but her uterus was severely damaged, recovery unlikely. The first thing she said upon regaining consciousness was that she wanted to see me. Faced with her secretary's tearful plea, and remembering how she had risked her life for me, I went to the hospital. The sterile scent of disinfectant in the ward seemed to seep into my very bones. Ava's face, pale and weak, was etched with supplication. "I've signed the divorce papers." She fumbled, producing the document. "But can I see videos of Noah every week?" I gently pried her fingers from the photograph of Noah she was clutching. "You almost made him lose his father." Her body arched in a sudden, violent spasm, the despair in her eyes overflowing. But after a long silence, I added, "However, if Noah is willing." Hope flared in her eyes again, bright and desperate. "But that's all. I hope we don't see each other again after this." As I left the room, I thought I heard the sound of her suppressed, heartbroken sobs. Ava gave me half of her assets in the divorce settlement. I accepted. My former boss, having learned the truth, asked me to come back to the company. I refused. She was probably hoping to continue leveraging my connection to get orders from Sterling Corporation. But I truly wanted no ties with Ava Sterling beyond our shared son, Noah. Too much had happened recently. I decided to take Noah abroad for a while, to clear our heads and heal. Before leaving the country, I saw another news update pushed to my phone. A blogger claimed to have first-hand information from a relative working in the detention center. Julian Vance and Marcus Thorne had been placed in the same cell. Due to their old grievances, they had fought. Julian's right eye had been gouged out. Marcus's left ear had been torn off. I swiped the news away, feeling only a wave of revulsion. It was all just sordid. While waiting at the airport, Ava's secretary sent me a copy of her will. It stated that upon her death, all her assets, including her shares in Sterling Corp, would go to Noah and me. I didn't reply. This was what Noah and I deserved. The boarding announcement began. I took Noah's hand and walked towards the gate. End.